Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Saab Fever. My name is Frank, and in this episode we'll be fixing the radio head unit from the Saab 9.5 project car. The 9.5 radio head unit and the car share a security system simply called marriage and divorce. When the two units are married, the radio stores the VIN number of the car it's married to. As these radios age, the little flash chip inside them loses the ability to store that data anymore. As such, if you ever disconnect the car's battery, say, in my instance here, I disconnected it so that I could charge the battery fully and then put it on my tester to see if the battery's any good. As soon as I'd connected the battery back up to the car, got in to make sure everything was working, I saw the radio code message on the SID. This is the radio unit telling the car that it's not married anymore. If you pick up one of these radio units from a scrapyard and it hasn't been divorced with a Tech 2, instead of radio code, you'll receive a message saying radio uncode. This is to indicate that the unit needs to be divorced before it can be married to the new car. So in this episode, I'll show you how to take the radio head unit apart, locate the flash chip and replace it with a new one. The head unit's fairly easy to take apart. I'm actually going to cheat here. Instead of a full disassembly, I'm just going to take enough off to let me get at the flash chip itself. My plan is to use the hot air gun to heat the chip enough and turn the solder to liquid. This way I can just remove it with a pair of tweezers. You can just about see it here. There's a black cable that joins the CD player to the bottom of the head unit. I have to confess, I don't actually know how to remove that cable right now, so I'm just going to twist the unit around and leave it in place. I'm now removing the tape deck. With all of that out the way, I can actually see the flash chip now. Going to put a little dab of gel flux on just to help the solder flow properly. Once the hot air gun's up to temperature, I'll just arrange everything here so that I can actually get it onto the chip. It was actually a bit fiddly, this. Ordinarily, if you were doing this kind of work, you would actually remove the PCB entirely. Probably actually really should have protected the surrounding area with Captain tape, but I didn't have any, so I just had to make do without. Well, there's the old chip off. Add a bit more gel flux just to make sure everything flows properly. Just going to re-tin the pads a sec just to make sure that the new chip's got some nice fresh solder to attach to. I'll put the part number of the chip in the description for anyone that wants to attempt this themselves. given that I didn't have any Captain tape, it was actually my intention to just tack one pin of the chip on first, then solder the rest with my soldering iron. As you'll see in a sec, that didn't go very well, partly because I just didn't have the access I ordinarily would need to do the job properly. So in the end I gave up trying that and just used the hot air gun again. I'm just checking here with a magnifying glass just to make sure everything is connected properly. This didn't work quite as well as I thought it would, but I think it shows enough. You can see the 4 legs there, and the other 4. They do seem to be connected. And so with that, it's just a case of putting it all back together, really. Now, some of you may have noticed when the radio was in the car, the buttons are also suffering. They have a rubberized coating on the outside, which seems to just collect dirt, grime, hair, bits of skin probably. It's not pretty looking. It's not the end of the world, but I thought since I had it all on the desk here, I'd carry on and take it all apart. My plan's to soak them in isopropyl alcohol for a little bit and give them a scrub with an old toothbrush. Now I've skipped forward here. I won't bore you with images of me scrubbing each little button. And so here's the finished article. It's not perfect. Some of the buttons could do with a bit more work, but I was concerned if I go too far I'll start taking the coating off entirely. The CD button there's looking a little thin, but this might just be how it was in the car and didn't really pay a lot of attention to it beforehand, but I was concerned if I scrubbed too far I'd just end up with a load of blank buttons. So now it's just a case of putting all of this back together as well now. And that's that all back together. It's looking quite good. I'm glad with it. Obviously, the ultimate test will be if it actually works now. Okay, we're back in the car. Obviously, the radio still says radio code. This is to be expected. To all intents and purposes, as far as the radio knows, it's a brand new radio. I'm going to have to use the Tech 2 to perform the marriage ceremony. And with the press of a few buttons, the radio is now married to the car. However, of course, the ultimate test is, will it survive a battery removal? So now, I'm going to disconnect the battery. Okay, the car battery's been disconnected for approximately 4 hours now. Everything's hooked back up. I'm going to see what happens when I put the key in and press the on button. I'm happy to report it's working fine. So, we truly have actually fixed the radio's problems, and we've also cleaned up the buttons while I was at it. I'm quite happy with the results of this. As always, thanks for watching.